Hello everyone and welcome to today's video on JavaScript tutorials for beginners. Do you know friends that JavaScript is a versatile programming language which is widely used in web development for creating dynamic and interactive websites. In this tutorial, we are going to explore the fundamental building blocks of JavaScript, including variables, objects, control flow, and many more. Now before we move on and learn more about it, I request you guys that do not forget to hit the subscribe button and click the bell icon for further updates. But before we move on and start our session, there is just quick info for you guys. If you want to accelerate your career as a certified Java full stack developer and acquire essential industry skills such as React, Angular, Spring Boot, Hibernate, and JSP, while also mastering MVC and web services to Craftly, then Simplilearn has got you covered. You can join the course. The course link is mentioned in the description box. Hurry up and join now. So guys, let's start with a short introduction about JavaScript. JavaScript is a versatile programming language which is primarily used for creating dynamic and interactive content on websites. It was initially developed by Netscape's Communication Corporations and first appeared in 1995. Over the years, JavaScript has evolved into one of the most widely used programming languages in the web development. JavaScript was created to add interactivity, functionality, and behavior to the web pages. Unlike HTML, which stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and CSS, which were primarily used for structuring and styling web content, JavaScript allows developers to create dynamic features such as animations, interactive forms, real-time updates without requiring a page reload. Now let us see what was the purpose of using JavaScript. The first one is client-side scripting. One of the JavaScript's key role in web development is client-side scripting. This means that JavaScript code is executed on the user's device rather than on the server, enabling immediate feedback and interaction with web content. Next one is versatility. JavaScript is not limited to web browsers. It can also be used for server-side programming languages like Node.js, mobile app development like we use React Native and Ionic, and also for desktop application development like Electron, and also for game development like Phaser, 3JS, and many more. Third one is standardization. JavaScript is standardized through the ECMA script specification, which defines the language syntax, features, and behavior. This ensures consistency across different JavaScript implementations and versions. Now let us understand what is the role of JavaScript in web development. The first one that we have all over here is enhancing user experience. JavaScript enables developers to create dynamic, responsive, and interactive user interfaces. With features like form validation, client-side data processing, and DOM manipulation, JavaScript enhances the overall user experience. Next one we have AJAX, which stands for Asynchronous JavaScript and XML. JavaScript facilitates asynchronous communication with web servers, allowing for seamless data exchange without reloading the entire web page. This enables the development of modern web applications with real-time updates and smoother user interactions. Third one we have all over here is frameworks and libraries. JavaScript has a vast ecosystem of frameworks and libraries like React, Angular, Vue that has streamlined the web development by providing pre-built component, state management solutions, and other tools for building scalable and maintainable web applications. Now, you would be wondering why JavaScript is so popular. Guys, JavaScript is supported by all major web browsers, making it accessible to a wide audience of developers and users. First reason is the community and resources. JavaScript has a large and active developers community, contributing to its extensive documentations, tutorials, forums, and open source projects. The second one we have is job market demand. With the rise of web-based applications and increasing demand for interactive user experiences, proficiency in JavaScript is highly sought after by employers across various industries. Third one we have all over here is continuous evolution. JavaScript continues to evolve with regular updates to the ECMA script specification, introducing language features, enhancements, which keeps it relevant and competitive in the ever-changing landscape of web development. So guys, in summary, JavaScript plays a crucial role in web development by enabling dynamic and interactive user experiences. And its popularity stems from its versatility, standardization, and widespread adoption across the web development community. Now let us move on and understand some of the basics of JavaScript. Guys, we will be using VS Code as a text editor for our hands-on. So guys, let's start with the first thing. That is JavaScript syntax and its basics. JavaScript syntax forms the foundation of any JavaScript code. It is a set of rules that governs how JavaScript programs are written and structured. Here's a breakdown of the JavaScript syntax. The first one we have is statements and semicolons. JavaScript programs consist of statements which are individual instructions that tell the computer what to do. Each statement typically ends with a semicolon. While JavaScript allows you to omit semicolons, in some cases due to automatic semicolon insertion, it is considered a good practice to include them to avoid potential issues. For example, if I declare a variable x equals to 5 and if I type console log.x. So guys, in this piece of code, you can see I have inserted semicolons at each place. Next one we can see all over here is comments. Guys, comments are the executable lines in your code that are ignored by the JavaScript interpreter. They are used to provide explanations, documentation, or temporarily disable the parts of the code for testing or debugging purposes. JavaScript support two types of comment. The first one is single line comment and second one is multiple line comments. For example, let us see something like this. So you could see this statements and semicolons which I have written all over here. This is a single line comment. Now let me show you a multi-line comment. Multi-line comment basically can span across multiple lines, such as we can see if I do something like this, put a star, okay, and close this. So you can see I have commented these part of the code which are not going to be read by the interpreter. So guys, this is a multi-line comment. Now let us move ahead and understand the third thing, that is case sensitivity. JavaScript is a case sensitive language, meaning it distinguishes between uppercases and lowercase letters. This applies to variables, names, functions, keywords, and other identifiers used in the code. For example, you can see all over here, I have declared a variable my var equals to hello. Then I have also declared my var equals to world. Now if I try to do it console log my var, the output is going to be hello. And similarly, if I try to do console.log my var, the output is going to be the world. So guys, you can see all over here the case sensitivity. The first one, the capital V is there, and in the second, the V is small. So the output is different. The first one has output of hello and second has output of world. Now, fourth thing, that is white space and indentation. Guys, JavaScript ignores spaces, tabs, and new lines collectively, which is known as white space in most of the cases. However, proper indentation and formatting improve code readability and maintainability. Developers often use consistent indentation to visually organize code blocks, making it easier to understand the structure of the program. For example, you can see there is a if code. Okay, so I've used a conditional all over here, if true, and you can see I have indented console.log inside this, something like that we use in Python. So guys, this basically improves the program readability and maintainability. Now let us move to the next part, that is identifiers. Guys, identifiers are the name given to variables, functions, labels, or objects in JavaScript. They are used to identify and reference different elements within the code. Identifiers must adhere to certain rules. First, like they must begin with a letter, underscore, or a dollar sign. They can contain letters, digits, underscores, and dollar signs. They cannot be JavaScript keywords or reserved words. They cannot contain spaces or special characters except underscore and dollar sign. So guys, you can see one example all over here. We have var my variable, and then I've declared function my function, and there's something to be written in a function body. So this is how the identifiers are working. Now let us understand the basics. Let's start with the variables. Guys, variables in JavaScript are containers which are used to store data values. They play a very crucial role in programming as they allow developers to store, manipulate, and retrieve data within their code. Here's an overview of it. First thing is declaration. Variables in JavaScript are declared using keywords such as var, let, or const. The where keyword was traditionally used to declare variables but has been largely replaced by let and const, especially in modern JavaScript code. If we talk about where, guys, it is basically used for declaring variables with functional or global scope. Let was introduced in ES6. Let allows for block scoped variables that can be reassigned. If I talk about const, which was also introduced in ES6, const is used to declare variables with block scope that cannot be reassigned through the values they refer. They can still be mutable for object and arrays. For example, if I say var age equals to 25. So guys, using var, I have declared this variable. Next is let name equals to John. So using let, I have declared this variable. Now, there is a constant pi, which I have declared const pi equals to 3.14, which is basically a constant value. Next one is assignment. Once a variable is declared, it can be assigned a value using the assignment operator. This assigns the value on the right hand side of the operator to the variable and on the left hand side. Example, if I say var x and x equals to 10, okay, this is not equal. We are basically assigning the value 10 to the variable x. Okay, so you might get confused in the future that this sign equals to the equal to sign is also standing for equality, but that's not the case. It is basically meaning that it is assigning certain value to this variable. Now, let us understand the naming conventions. Variables names in JavaScript should be meaningful and descriptive. They can consist of letters, digits, underscores, and dollar signs. However, they must begin with a letter, underscore, or dollar sign, and they cannot be JavaScript keywords or reserved words. For example, there we have var first name or var user age. So you can see in this way we can declare our variable. Okay, the first we have used a camel case, and the second one I have used user underscore age. So in this way you can declare your variable. Now let us understand some of the basic data types used in JavaScript. JavaScript is a dynamically typed language, meaning variables can hold values of any data type. Common data types includes numbers, strings, booleans, arrays, objects, null, and undefined. So if we have var num equals to 10, that's number. Var name equals to Alice, that is a string. And if I try to do some boolean, var student equals to true. So these are the three of the data types and very basic data types that will be used across our programs. So the first one, you can consider it in the number. The second one is a string type, and third one is a boolean type. Boolean means it can contain values such as true or false. Now let us understand one of the very most important part, that is scope of the variable, and it is frequently asked in the interviews. So guys, variable scope refers to the visibility or accessibility of variables within different parts of the program. It determines whether in your code a variable can be used or accessed. Understanding variable scope is very crucial for writing clean, efficient, and a bug-free code. In JavaScript, variables can either have a local scope or a global scope, and the type of scope depends on how and where the variable is declared. Let us discuss the first one, that is the global scope. Variables declared outside of any function have a global scope. They can be accessed from anywhere within the program, including inside functions. Global variables are accessible throughout the entire script, making them available for use in any part of the code. Example guys, you can see I have written something like this, var global var, I am a global variable. And then I've declared a function with my function, and I'm trying to console log or trying to print global variable. Now in this code you can see this is a global variable, and this can be accessed throughout the program because it is not declared inside the function. Now in the second case, which is a local scope. So guys, variables declared within a function have a local scope. They are only accessible within the function in which they are defined. Local variables exist only for the duration of function's execution, and they cannot be accessed from outside function. Example like function my function, var local var, I am a local variable. So guys, as you can see all over here, I have declared my variable inside this function. And finally, I'm trying to print this local variable. So guys, as you can see all over here, inside this function, we are declaring our variable. But in the case of global, we are declaring our variable above the function, not inside the function. Now guys, let us move on and try to understand the block scope. So guys, block scope was introduced in ECMA script 6, such as let and const keywords. which allow variables to have a block scope, meaning they are confined to the block of code within curly braces in which they are declared. This includes loops, conditionals, and functions. Variables declared with the let and const are not hoisted to the top of their scope, like variables are declared with var. So guys, you can see an example I have mentioned for the block scope. So there is a condition, if true, let block variable, I am a block scope variable, and then I'm trying to print it. So guys, in the block scope, basically I'm declaring my variable within the curly braces. Okay, so for example, in the case of loops, conditionals, and function. So we are basically using let keyword in this case, which denotes the block scope of this variable. Now, let us move on and try to understand what is variable hoisting. So guys, if I talk about this is also kind of interesting. Sometimes interviewers can ask you about it. So guys, in JavaScript, variables declared with var are hoisted on the top of their scope during their compilation phase. This means that regardless of where the variable declaration appears in the code, JavaScript moves it to the top of its containing function or script. However, only the declaration is hoisted, not the initialization. Variables declared with let and const are also hoisted, but they are not initialized until their actual declaration is encountered in the code. So guys, you should be well versed with understanding the variable scope, which is going to help prevent naming conflicts, improving code readability, and ensuring that variables are used where they are intended. It is kind of essential to be mindful of variable scope when writing JavaScript code to avoid unexpected behaviors and bugs. So guys, let's start with operators and expressions in JavaScript. Operators and expressions are fundamental concepts in JavaScript that allows developers to perform various computations and operations on data. Here's an overview of operators and expressions in JavaScript. The first one we have is arithmetic operators. Arithmetic operators are used to perform mathematical calculations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and modulus. For example, as we have all over here, you can see we have var x equals to 10, var y equals to 5, and var sum equals to x plus 5. Now, I have also given var product x cross y and quotient and remainder as. Now, if I want to print this variable, as you can see, so let's try to run the var, say sum. And if we try to run our program, okay, we'll type node and the file name. Okay, so you can see it's printing 2, 0, and 5. So if I'm trying to print the quotient, quotient means x divided by y. So 10 divided by 5 gives 2. Okay, now the remainder, as we can see, there will be no remainder, so the answer is coming 0. Now 10 plus 5, which is sum, it is giving 50. So guys, if you want to run your JavaScript file, type node and the name of your file. Okay, now let us try to see. Now let's clear our screen first. Now let us try to understand second operator, which is the comparison operator. So guys, if I talk about the comparison operators are used to compare two values and return a Boolean result, which means true or false. For example, if you declare two variables, say var a equals to 10 and var b equals to 5. And if I say console.log a cross b, okay, which means is a is greater than b, so 10 is greater than 5, so it is going to return true. Similarly, this statement a less than b is going to be false. The third one is a greater than equal to b. Fourth is a less than equal to b. This is an equality operator. So guys, as I have told you, you should always be cautious with assignment and equality operator. For equality, it gives double equal to. Now, this is three equal to signs and this is equals to equal to with strict equality. Okay, now let us try to understand what does it means. Let us copy this code. And if we try to run our program, we can see we have got our output. Let me zoom it a little bit. So for first it says true, second is false, third is true, fourth is false. Okay, now we are interested to see the seventh one. So it's saying false. So we can see 5 is not equals to 10. Okay, and if I say the strict inequality, it is also going to say that the eighth one, which means it's strict equality. Okay, so it was also returning false all over here. The last two statement, which means it is not equal to, it is returning true, and A is also not equal to B. So one is a strict inequality and one is a loose inequality. So this is a strict one and this is a loose one. So guys, this is how the comparison operators work. Now, let us try to understand the third operator, that is logical operators. Logical operators are used to combine and modify the Boolean values. For example, the first one that we have is an AND operator. So guys, it means logical AND. It is going to return true if both of the operands are true. For example, in this case, if I say var x equals to true and var y equals to false, and if I try to print console.log x and y. So if both of them are true, then it's only going to return true. Otherwise, here the answer will be false. Now, x or y means you can consider it as an OR operator, which is going to return true if at least one of the operands is true. So guys, var x is true and var y is false. So one of them is true, which means x is true, and here our answer will be true. Now, console.log not equals to x, which is a logical NOT operator. So if I've tried to print console.log not equals to x, means not equals to true, negation of true is false. So here, answer will be false. I hope so. You would have got a brief idea regarding the logical operators. Now let us move forward and try to understand the string concatenation. Guys, in JavaScript, the plus operator can also be used for string concatenation, which means joining two or more strings together. For example, we have our first variable, var first name equals to John, and var last name equals to Doe. And if I try to concatenate the first name plus last name, which means var first name plus last name, so it is going to return John Doe. Okay, let me try to run this code and show you. So you can see all over here, we are getting the output John Doe. Now I hope so you would have got an idea regarding string concatenation. Now let us move forward and explore the next concept, which is the ternary operator. So guys, in the ternary operator, which means that the condition something says like this. Let me try to write the syntax for this. So say if there is a condition, okay, and if there is expression 1 and here is expression 2. So guys, this is a shorthand of writing an if-else statement. For example, we can see all over here, we have declared our age as 20 and this is the variable message. Now here is a condition, okay? So if age is greater than equal to 18, now if this is true, it is going to print this. Otherwise, it is going to print this. Now, let us try to run this code. So guys, as you can see all over here, it's printing you are an adult, which means this statement is true. What if I would have done something like this? So you can see this statement is false. Age is not less than 18. Otherwise, it is printing this false, which is you are a minor. Now, as you can see all over here, we have to manipulate our this thing something like this. This is an short form of if and else statement. So if this condition is true, it is going to print this. If this condition is going to be false, it is going to print this. Now let us try to understand the control flow. So guys, control flow refers to the order in which statements are executed in the program. In JavaScript, control flow is managed through conditional statements and loops, which allow developers to control the flow of execution based on different conditions. Let us explore the key components in control flow in JavaScript. First one we have is conditional statements. So guys, conditional statements allow you to execute block of codes based on certain condition. The most common types of conditional statement in JavaScript are if, else if, and else. Let us understand the first one, that is if statement. So guys, its general block of code is written something like this. If in a close bracket or parenthesis, we have written condition, and inside this, what is a code or block of code to be executed is written all over here. Now, you can see if condition, then if this condition is true, just print this thing, any condition. Okay. Now, if I talk about else if guys, so in the case of else if, we have to use if and else. So if the condition is true, means we have written certain condition, okay? If it is true, then it prints this statement. Otherwise, if the statement, repeat, otherwise if the condition is false, it is going to print this. It is very simple. Let me show you one of the example. Now, instead of doing this, what we can do all over here is, okay, we have declared the variable age, okay? So if age is less than 18, so we can say something like this. Okay, or else we can say you are minor. Now let us try to run this code. So it says that you are minor. Very simple. Now if this condition is true, means our age is given as 20, and this statement shows that this is false. So our code is going to be executed for this block, which says you are minor. Now I hope so you would have got an idea regarding else if. Now let us try to understand the else if statement. So guys, if there is certain statement like if condition 1, okay, suppose if this condition has to be true, we can execute this, else otherwise this condition, otherwise this condition. So if there are multiple else in the statements, we can use else if. Okay, you can do something like this in this case. Okay, say console.log, you can say are you sure, and okay, now it's correct. So suppose we have declared our variable age as 20, and if we are saying if age is less than or equal to 18, then you are an adult. Okay, now you can ask something like this, if age is equals to 18, then you are printing are you sure you are 18, otherwise you are a minor. So if we are multiple else in the program, okay, so we can use else if in this case. But only thing to remember is that using else if, you have to also put condition all over here. With else, there is no need to put any condition in the parenthesis. Now guys, let us try to understand the switch statement. The switch statement is used to perform different actions based on different conditions. It evaluates an expression and also executes the codes associated with the first matching case. For example, switch expression case value 1, which says code to be executed if the expression matches the value 1. Otherwise, if the code to be executed matches this expression, then you will execute this code. Third one is this one. If none of it matches, then we have a default code to be executed. Now, in this way, we basically are designing our switch expression. Let me show you an example of the same. Okay guys, so you can see all over here, I have declared a variable var day equals to 3. And this says var day name. Now we have used our expression as day. Now if it is case 1, we have given the day name as Monday. If there is case 2, we have given the name as Tuesday. And similarly for all the 7 days I have mentioned. If none of the case matches to it, we have given an invalid day. Now in this case, I have given day equals to 3. Which means that it is going to print Wednesday. Let me show you this. So we are going to run this program. So say it says Wednesday. Similarly, if I say day as 4, so you can say it says today is Thursday. I hope so you would have got an idea regarding switch statement. Now let us move forward and try to understand the for loop. So guys, loops are basically used to execute a block of code repeatedly until specific condition is met. JavaScript supports several types of loops. Example, for loop, while loop, and do while loop. If I talk about for loop, basically here what it happens. So for, there will be parenthesis and there will be initialization condition, which means you can do increment or decrement. For example, in this code, for where I equals to 0 and I less than 5, I plus plus, console.log I, which means that our variable I is initialized with 0 and it is going to go till 5. And it is going to increment and print all these value iteratively. So let me copy this code and let us try to run this program. So guys, you can see all over here, it's printing 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. I hope so you would have got an idea regarding this. Now let us try to understand the while loop. So guys, in case of while loop, we write something like this. So suppose we have initialized our variable I and we are going to start with a while keyword and there will be a parenthesis. And in this parenthesis, I have declared I less than 5, which means that until this condition is met, it is going to print the value of I. And after printing the value of I, we are incrementing with the increment operator. Basically, the output of this code and this code is same, but the way of writing is different. So please take a small note on this one. Okay. Now let us try to understand the do while loop. So similarly, I have initialized a variable I equals to 0 and here is a do keyword. So what part of code we want to execute all over here, we can write it. Suppose I want to print console.log I and I++. Same task we are doing in different manner. Now, if while this condition is met, means if I is less than 5, till this condition is met, this piece of code is going to get executed. So similarly, this is another way of doing the same thing. Now, let us go to the break and continue part. So here you can see all over here, there is a for loop and I have declared a variable I equals to 0 and I is less than 5 and we are incrementing with I++. Now, if I is equals to 3, we are doing the break part and rest we are executing this code. Okay, so let me show you and let's try to run this code. So guys, as you can see all over here, is printing 0, 1 and 2. Now, let us try to understand this logic one by one. So you can see all over here, initialization has happened just like the for loop and I should be less than 5 and I++. Now, if I value equals to 3, you are going to break this piece of code. No iterations are going to perform. So till 3 means 0, 1 and 2 are only going to get printed. Rest of the things are not. So that is how this is working. I hope so you would have got an idea regarding this. Basically, break puts a stoppage in your code execution. So this was your break statement. Now if I talk about continue, let us try to run this first. So you can see all over here. Now if I put instead of break continue, so what is going to do? It is going to skip this section when I equals to 3 and it is going to print all of it. But In the case of brick, after 3, it's not going to perform. So 0, 1, 2, and 4 are going to get printed. But in the case of brick, it is just printing 0, 1, 2, and it's stopping the code. So that is what the difference between brick and continue. I hope so you would have got an idea regarding this. So guys, that was all for this video. So I hope so guys, you would have enjoyed our today's video on JavaScript tutorials for beginners.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.